Hello MCU fans! Today is another video in my continuing series of closing down the MCU in 2023, and of course looking forward to all the great things to come in 2024 and beyond. Now we already did a state of heroism looking at all the active heroes in the MCU, so this video is going to look at all the heroes that we've lost in the MCU, as well as family, friends, public servants, etc. And there's a surprisingly large number. I did not think there were that many that had died, but you may be surprised by the number. So maybe think ahead in your mind, how many do you think approximately have died? It's very interesting. All right, so there will be spoilers for pretty much everything in the MCU, although good news for those that have not seen the Marvels, there are no spoilers for the Marvels, so that's good. But yeah, assuming you're okay with some spoilers for things that have already been out for, in some case, many, many years, then let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we do have the December contest running all month long. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment. One random winner will be announced on a video in early January and can choose from one of the books or steel books above. And of course, we do have the new membership option in case you're interested in supporting the channel in that fashion. But really, any way that you support the channel is greatly appreciated, even if it's just leaving comments, liking videos, and subscribing. It all really helps in my goal to do this full-time down the road. So thank you very much. Okay, one other point is I have a Google Drive out there, and I will leave a pinned comment with a link to the Google Drive. But notice the bottom file on the Google Drive is the year in review of 2023. And it will have all, from a summary level, it will have all of the heroes that have lived, now the ones that have died after this video, as well as all the villains that are alive and those that have died. It's really cool. It's a nice way to just kind of skim through really everybody in the MCU, right? It's pretty much every major character that's appeared in the MCU, so pretty cool. Okay, so for this video, there will be several categories we're going to look at. We're going to look at superheroes. Those are people that have powers or highly trained skills. So we're talking your Black Widows, your Agent Coulsons, Maria Hills, etc. Then we're going to look at public servants. Those are the police, fire, military, and other services. And, let's be honest, those are actually the real heroes, right? Especially in real life. I mean, we all run from a fire and they run towards the fire. So pretty amazing. All right, then we have family or friends. So someone who is closely tied to a superhero. And then we have reformed villains. Now, we already covered them in the state of villainy, but it is worth mentioning them here because they are dead and did a heroic act before they passed away. And then we have pets. There are a few pets that have died, so you got to give them credit, right? And then, of course, we'll continue to use the dotted line square to show if someone is a variant or from another universe, because they're just popping up left and right these days. Okay, so I'm going to go through each movie in release order other than the clear prequel movies, such as Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Black Widow. I'll put those in timeline order, but otherwise this will be in release order. So we therefore start with Captain America, the First Avenger, which gave us the death of one of my favorite characters, man, Dr. Abram Erskine. That dude was awesome. So he falls under the family friend category. Then we have Captain Marvel. In that, we lost Marvel, and we lost Norex the Science Guy. Now, Norex the Science Guy was a villain who, of course, reformed and did a heroic act in the end, and Marvel I'm listing as a family or a friend. So then in Iron Man, we actually lost 3 public servants. You might remember at the beginning of the movie, Ramirez, Pratt, and Jimmy all died. I'm sure many others died, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to people whose names actually appeared in the credits because, if we tried to look at every single military person that died or SHIELD personnel, etc., there would just be hundreds. So we're going to focus on ones who actually had names and were called out in the credits. So Ramirez, Pratt, and Jimmy fall into those categories. And of course, Ho Jensen, who gave his life for Stark to live. Very noble sacrifice. All right, then we have Incredible Hulk. No deaths in that. Iron Man 2, no deaths. And the same with Thor, no deaths. Then Avengers. Ouch, Phil Coulson. And yes, I do realize Phil Coulson was brought back to life in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sticking with the main MCU that shows up in the Disney Plus timeline as well as the timeline book, but I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So as far as I'm concerned, Agent Coulson is still out there somewhere, right? But so Agent Coulson died in Avengers, and then Officer Saunders died. Now, many police officers probably died again in Avengers, but he was called out by name, and also, interestingly, that actor ended up playing Daniel Sousa in the Agent Carter series. And in fact, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, when he ends up showing up when they're going through time, they were talking about even tying his Daniel Sousa character in with this Officer Saunders character, but then they realized the timelines just didn't line up right, and they didn't do it. But that would have been really, really cool. But yeah, he definitely died in Avengers as a public servant. All right, so then we have Iron Man 3. We have a public servant with the Rose Hill Sheriff, and of course, Maya Hansen, who died a noble death after her initial villainous turn. Then we have Thor the Dark World, Frigga. Frigga rocks, man. It was so great seeing her again in Endgame. But I'm listing her as family friend. I mean, you could argue she's maybe a superhero, but I bet she would be the first to go, I'm not a superhero. I'm Thor's mom. So listing her as family friend. Then Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Now, Agent Anderson, he was the guard who was killed by the hangar bay doors. And again, tons of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents died, but he actually got a call out, so he is going to collectively represent all of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that passed away in that movie. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy. So Groot, as we now know, really did die. Baby Groot that came back, according to James Gunn, is a different Groot. I mean, no one understands how Groot works. We just accept it, right? So it's a different Groot. The original one did die, indeed. Then we have Meredith Quill in the family friend area, obviously Star-Lord's mom. And then Garth and Saul, who was one of the many, many Xandar warriors that died in the attack by Ronan. But again, he's the only one given a name, so he will represent everyone who died nobly trying to stop Ronan. Then we have Age of Ultron, which gave us Quicksilver, who started out villainous and, of course, died a heroic death. Then we have Ant-Man, our first pet, Antony. Oh, poor Antony. Now, Antony might not appreciate being called a pet. What else animal? I mean, I guess I could make the category animal, but that just seems weird, too. So we're going to call him a pet, but yes, noble death by Antony. All right, then we have Captain America Civil War. So we finally see Peggy Carter die after all this time. That was a very touching ceremony, obviously. We have T'Chaka, who died during the attack on the United Nations. And then Howard and Maria Stark, granted, we knew of their deaths since all the way back in the Iron Man movie. But since we actually saw them die here, I'm just including them here. But yeah, that was very tragic death for them and played a very important role, obviously, in the movie. Then we have Black Widow, no deaths. But then Doctor Strange. So I'm going to list the Ancient One as a superhero because she was obviously helping fight in all the battles. And then I'm going to call public servants, everyone who died in the various battles throughout, the different warriors. So we basically have the Librarian, who died at the beginning, poor dude, Daniel Drum, and Sol Rama, all who gave their lives throughout the Doctor Strange movie. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So Officer Fitzgibbon, who was given a name, died when all the ego, what do you want to call it, goo, started wiping out people. I'm sure many other policemen died, but again, he was the only one given a name. And then, of course, we have Yondu, who started out in the first Guardians movie as a villain, but ultimately died a very noble, heroic death. Spider-Man Homecoming, no deaths. Then Thor Ragnarok, oh my word, a lot of death, right? So the Warriors 3 obviously all died, Fandral, Hogan, and Volstagg. Now Odin, I am going to list him as family friend. He would be the most clear example where we could call him a superhero, but by the time of Thor Ragnarok, where he basically was in a retirement home, thanks to Loki, he was no longer a hero. That's why he's being now listed as family friend. But you could argue he was a hero. And then, of course, Executioner, who died the noble death after his initial villainous turn. Then we have Black Panther. So in Black Panther, we have both Zuri, who died, and then the member of the Dora Milaje. If you remember in the battle, she got her throat slit by Killmonger. Ouch, what a way to go. So yeah, I'm sure there were a bunch of other Dora Milaje and other warriors that died, but she was the only one who we saw and who got the name called out in the credits. All right, so then Avengers Infinity War. Wow, a lot of big deaths in this one. So I'm listing Vision as still dead. I do realize White Vision or Spectral Vision, however we want to refer to him, may be the original Vision. I mean, he did get the Vision's memories, but it's hard to tell if this is going to be another Groot situation where he's individual enough that we would not consider him the original Vision. So for now, I'm calling Vision dead. Obviously, Gamora died, Heimdall died, and Loki died. Starting out, from way back in the beginning as a villain and now died a heroic death. Then we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Another ant bites the dust, right? Antonio Banderas. So again, he probably would appreciate not being called a pet, but he was, of course, killed by the seagull. Poor dude. All right, then we have Avengers Endgame. Two major OG Avenger deaths, both Iron Man and Black Widow. Wow, big time deaths. All right, then Spider-Man Far From Home, no deaths. And then WandaVision. So it's in WandaVision that we learned of Maria Rambeau's death, so I'm listing her here. Also, Wanda's parents obviously had died and been mentioned as dead for a while, but we saw them in WandaVision, so I'm listing them as here, but you could put them wherever you want, but definitely dead. And then Sparky. I mean, is Sparky just a Hex creation, or was Sparky a real dog? I don't know, but, he has a place in all our hearts, so we have to call him out. He's another pet that died. R.I.P. Sparky. All right, so then we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier with Battlestar that died as a superhero, and R.J. Nakajima, who would have been a family friend that died. And he was so important to the plot, which is why he's worth calling out, because obviously Bucky was dealing with the trauma of that death, as well as many of the other deaths he caused. All right, so then we have, in the Loki series, we have classic Loki, who whether I had some people question in State of Villainy whether or not he's actually a villain. I mean, aren't all the Lokis a villain to start out with? He wasn't really villainous in Loki, I agree, but still, he gets a call out as a reformed villain. I guess you could call him a superhero. Let me know in the comments what you think, but feels more like a reformed villain. All right, then in What If? Oh my word. What If has so many deaths of superheroes and family members. If I listed them all, this page would be covered. I mean, Tony Stark died in like every other episode, right? So I'm focusing on the key deaths, and that would be Christine Palmer, obviously. Not only was her death critical in the Doctor Strange episode, but it even carried forward into his motivations when he returned in episode 9 as a guardian of the multiverse. And it looks like he's going to even be back in season 2. So tell me if you think I should list more deaths, but to me, this one was really, really key. So Christine's getting the call out here. And of course, she's a variant, so she gets the little square. All right, then Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We have both of Shang-Chi's parents die. Wen Wu obviously had the villainous turn and then died a hero, versus Ying Li, his mother, died early on. And then Master Guangbo, he died during the battle at the end of the movie. So then we have the Eternals. So we have Ajak, Gilgamesh, and Icarus. Ajak and Gilgamesh falling under superhero category and Icarus under reformed villain. Now, I've had a lot of good questions when I did the State of Villainy on Icarus. First question was, did he really die? All I can say is the timeline book, which I forgot to mention this in the previous video, but the timeline book actually lists him as being incinerated when he went into the sun. So it's rare that the timeline book added information that wasn't readily apparent inside the movies, but they did there. They basically said, no, he's toast. So he did die. Then another question was, well, did he really reform, right? I mean, he was an unwilling participant in the Unimind, it seemed like. He kind of got pulled into the Unimind at the end. But I'm still going to list him as making a heroic move in that he didn't kill Cersei. If he had killed her, Tiamat would have made it out, and he would have erupted and destroyed the earth. So the very fact that out of love, he simply couldn't bring himself to fulfill his mission by killing Cersei, I'll call him reformed for that. But a lot of good questions on him. He is a fascinating character. All right, so Hawkeye. In Hawkeye, we saw that Echo's dad died, that Kate Bishop's dad died, and then Armand, of course, was stabbed and died. So then in Spider-Man No Way Home, oh man, probably one of the saddest deaths in all of the MCU so far, Aunt May. Oh, wow, tragic. And for her to give that final line of the great power and great responsibility, that was epic. I've heard many people say that the first 3 Spider-Man movies, with Tom Holland movies, were really his origin story, with Aunt May taking over the Uncle Ben line. So very cool. All right, then we have Moon Knight. So Moon Knight's brother and mother both die, and then Layla's father dies. I wish I had a better picture of him, but they don't show us anything other than him dead. So pretty grisly looking there, but oh well, it's all I got. All right, so then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Oh my word, lots of death in this. Obviously the Illuminati, so all of them are dead. Then we have Defender Strange. Let me know in the comments if you think I should be listing him as a superhero, because that's what I put him as. I mean, he did try to kill America Chavez, there's no doubt. But then also it seemed like he sacrificed himself so she could get away too. So I'm really torn. I mean, he was a villain, but he was also a hero. I don't know. And plus he thought what he was doing was saving the universe, because obviously if Wanda had gotten a hold of America Chavez's powers, that would be bad. So he's another kind of complex one to figure out how to categorize. Then we have Supreme Strange. So Supreme Strange was the one killed by the Illuminati. Again, you could try to figure out, is he a hero or a villain? I mean, he did something heroic by killing Thanos, but he also created an incursion and wiped out an entire world in the process. So hard to categorize these folks. Well, 2 that we can categorize easily, though, is Master Hamir and Sarah Wolf, both of who died at Kamar-Taj during the various battles. So yeah, I'm putting them as public servants. Everybody else for now, I'm putting as superhero. Let me know what you think. All right, Miss Marvel. We have Miss Marvel's great-grandmother who passed away. We have Walid, who was with the Order of the Red Daggers. Of course, he died. And then Najma, who was villainous but died a heroic death in the end. Then we have Thor, Love and Thunder. So we have Jane Foster, who I'm listing as dead for now. I know I did put her on the heroes as active. Probably I was being too generous since we don't know if she's coming back. So for now, I really need to list her as dead. And then Gore, who had a definite villainous turn, but died a heroic death as a reformed villain in the end. Then we have She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. No surprise, no one died. It was a straight-up comedy. That would have been weird if someone died. Then we have Werewolf by Night, Elsa's dad. Now, I don't know whether Elsa has any respect whatsoever for her dad. She probably considers herself disowned, like, I want nothing to do with you. But nonetheless, he is still her dad, so he falls under family friend. Then we have Wakanda Forever with Black Panther's tragic death, and of course, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. And then Ramonda's death. So, woo, rough movie. Very, very emotional filled movie. So I'm putting her under family friend, and of course, Black Panther under superhero. Then we have the Guardians Holiday Special. No surprise that no one died there, although the tree that Yondu kicked over, I guess we could consider it dead. But no one died in that one. Then we have Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania with MODOK, right? Who is a sheer villain, obviously, who then still had the heroic death in the end, so he falls under reformed villains. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Man, I said Aunt May was one of the most emotional deaths, but these three combined might actually beat her out. Lila, Teefs, and Floor. Oh, my word. So they're all under family friend, and their deaths obviously shaped Rocket into the personality and the hero he became. Then Secret Invasion. Oh, my word. A lot of death here. So we have Maria Hill, who I'm going to list as a superhero because she's so highly skilled. We have Talos, who died a heroic death, started out as a villain in Captain Marvel. By the way, I had some people question whether he should have been considered a villain in the State of Villainy video. The reason I considered him one is the way that he used the memory extractor on Captain Marvel. That was pretty villainous. He had his reasons for doing it, I know, but I just kind of view him as an antagonist at the beginning of Captain Marvel, but then, of course, by the end became a hero and then died a hero's death in Secret Invasion. We have Soren, who died before it started, but still, we learned of her death, so she falls under family friend. And, of course, Prescott. Skrulls. That dude falls under public servant. We will never forget Prescott. Long may you live in our hearts. Then Loki Season 2, like, I think everyone died 45,000 times. But in the end, everybody was still alive. Even D90, who was pruned by Brad, he's in the final scene. If you look in the war room, you see him in there. So I don't think anybody died in Loki Season 2. And then the Marvels, like I said, no spoilers because no one died. So it's all good. Although I guess you could call that a spoiler that no one died. But did you really think any of the three main heroes were going to die? So no deaths in the Marvels. Okay, so let's look then in summary at where we're at here. So we have 26 heroes that died. That's more than I would have thought. I did not expect that many deaths. And many of these are big name heroes, right? And even the ones that didn't have a huge role still were a big loss. I mean, like Agent Carter down there at the bottom. Or Peggy Carter, I should say, Director Carter even of S.H.I.E.L.D. Big loss. And obviously we have the Variant Row down there next to her. So she's kind of died twice. She died in Civil War as the main herself, and then of course she died as Captain Carter in Multiverse of Madness. Then reformed villains, of course we covered those in the State of Villainy as well, but they deserve a shout out here for their heroic deaths. Then public servants, so a lot of public servants, whether in the army, the police, the sheriffs, whatever Prescott was doing. I don't know, military? I don't know what, government of some type. But then down on the bottom, we have the folks from Kamar-Taj, lots of deaths of sorcerers and sorcerer folks working for the sorcerers. And then, of course, Xandar and Walid. Then friends and family. Boy, it does not pay to be a parent of a superhero, right? So we have Spider-Man's aunt, Iron Man's parents, Black Panther's parents, and of course Black Panther as well, R.I.P., he passed as well, but Black Panther's parents, Wanda's parents, Thor's parents, Miss Marvel's great-grandmother, Shang-Chi's parents, because of course Wenwu died as a reformed villain, Echo's dad, Kate Bishop's dad, Star-Lord's mom, Elsa's dad, Moon Knight's mom and brother, Layla's dad. Holy mackerel. That is a lot of friends, or parents rather, that have died throughout the MCU. My word. And then the rest would fall more into the friend category. Very relevant deaths, but still more in the friend category. So there you go. That is a lot of death. Oh, sorry, one more. Pets. Sorry, pets. 2 ants and 1 dog. Yikes. So there you go. That is the summary of The Loved Lost Ones. Don't forget, I do have that document out on the Google Drive if you want to see everything. Plus, we have the December contest. Don't forget, be a subscriber, leave a comment, and you might win a book or a steelbook. And of course, we have the membership option. And then I would be remiss not to remind that we have the Discord server with so many different events coming up. As you can see here, lots of rewatches of some great shows, including live watch of What If when it comes out. Then we have even more events going on with the different comics, the Comics Club, and then finally some more rewatches, including Aquaman right before Aquaman 2. So, love to have you join. I will leave a pinned comment with an invite to the Discord server. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.